You can take this phrase number of a man and you could translate it human number.
Where we read about the number of the beast. The number of the beast is 666, and it's a man's number.
This is absolutely fascinating. This lady brings up a question to Dr. Michael Heiser about the number 666, and it's absolutely fascinating. And then we're going to go to a video from Daily Dose of Wisdom, talk about what does the Bible actually say about 666. So let's get right into it.
But I have in my commentary here, it says, the invitation to one with understanding to calculate this number, however, suggests the use of gematria, I guess that's the way you say that, an ancient code using the numerical values of letters, both beast and Nero Caesar, written in Hebrew characters, add up to 666. Many interpreters expect a future greater fulfillment. So my question around this is, what does this really mean when it says to calculate the number? Is this something that we should be doing for the future? Did this already happen? You know, or is it one of those already but not yet?
Yeah.
Great question.
The thing. Let's talk about the thing with Nero first. I know. You instigator, you. It depends on the way you spell Nero's name, which actually gets different spellings in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Latin.
Wow.
And Nero has been a popular candidate for the Antichrist, not only because with one of those that you just mentioned, you can calculate the number of his name. By the way, Gematria is the practice, and lots of languages used it, where you would take the letters of the alphabet. Like the first 10 letters of the alphabet in Hebrew are numbers 1 through 10. You assign numbers to the letters of the alphabet, and so on and so forth for all your alphabetic numbers. And then when you see a name or a phrase, you can do the math. You can just put the numerical equivalents in there and you come out with a number, and it may mean something or may not. But with Nero, he's a popular candidate because there are some manuscripts of Revelation 13:18 that do not read 666. They read 616.
That's also super fascinating. Like, why in the world are they different? And what could that mean? Were they just using different languages during that time? That could be a fascinating thought. I don't know.
ESV has done its job here. Look at that. Some manuscripts 616. So I don't know the editor here, but good job, whoever you are. But Nero, again, if you pick one of the alternate spellings for Nero, you can get his name to match 616 as well.
Oh!
So he's like a favorite candidate. But
Wow.
a lot of scholars feel that it's kind of cheating to just pick your language and get your name, you know? Like that's essentially what you're doing. You know, other commentators like Beale will make the comment that you can take this phrase number of a man and you could translate it human number. And then that takes you down the other road that you mentioned about the significance of a number less than 777. Okay, and 888 is Jesus, 777 is God.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there were different numbers that meant, you know, a standard of holiness or perfection. And if you're thinking, you know, these people were just crazy. I mean, first we get this astronomy stuff and now all this number symbolism. Okay, they were serious about this in the first century because they had different reasons, but some wanted to encrypt ideas into names and numbers for their own safety. There's some speculation that Revelation does some of that. If you think especially that Revelation is a book that was written before the destruction of the temple, and it's a polemic on Rome, even if you don't have to be a preterist and think it's all fulfilled, you can still be something of a futurist.
Sure.
But if you think that there are things in the book that are directed against the emperor and the Romans, yeah, you would probably encrypt that rather than just put it in the text and then take the consequences. You know, the Romans are knocking at your door the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a certain logic to it, and it was used for secrecy. Some of it was esoteric, mystical thinking, you know, trying to communicate theological ideas with numbers and stuff like that. Lest you think it's really strange. I mean, we do the same thing with number 3. What do we associate 3 with? The Trinity. You know, I mean, They're just things
Or
like
3 is the magic number.
this that are somewhat familiar to us. But in their culture, there was just more of it, more of that kind of thing going on. So I don't, is it an already or not yet? I don't really see the number itself as fitting into really the already category, because I'm not sold on the book of Revelation A being written, early. I mean, to view this as fulfilled, like the number already existed in real time, you'd pretty much have to commit yourself to an early, date of authorship, because then you would go to Revelation 11 and you'd say, see, there's the courts of the temple mentioned there. The temple must still be standing, and so this has to be written before 70 AD, and then the outcome of this is 70 AD, and where it's no longer prophecy. Then you could take that and say, well, Daniel 11 talked about this Antichrist figure who now we think is Nero because Revelation's written before 70. But see, Daniel could have said, well, the fulfillment of this has already happened with Antiochus, but now we know it's Nero, and so maybe it'll ripple out again in the future. Maybe there will be a not yet. Maybe there'll be somebody else down the road who'll be a new Nero or a new there are just ways to no matter what system you adopt, you can say it's either all fulfilled or it's all future, it's a little bit of both. I just don't see anything in the text that helps answer that question, specifically with the number, because the answer to it is going to hinge on really what you think about the authorship. And I'm still a late dater, the mid-90s. I think that's the best date explanation, but it's not secure by any means. There's a couple church fathers mention it, but there are a couple church fathers that thought it was early too. I mean, there's no.
Yeah, so I think that's fascinating about the numbers. I think either way, it puts into perspective for the longest time what everyone thought. But at the end of the day, it's still the same. You still have this prophecy that needs to be fulfilled. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like because there's just so many different interpretations on these texts, these manuscripts. And we're going to go into a Daily Dose of Wisdom video on what does it really say about the 666. And he's going to get into the 616 or 666.
Information that's impacted by that small percentile.
Sure. So let me give you an example from Revelation chapter 13, verse 18. It's where we read about the number of the beast. The number of the beast is 666, and it's a man's number, or man's number is how I would prefer to translate it. I think it's mankind's in the sense that, do you know what Gematria is? Have you heard that term before?
I haven't.
Gematria is an ancient way to figure out the numerical value of names.
Gematria, that was used in the other video. And yeah, it's super fascinating. I think Derek Prince was doing that as well. And 888 is for Jesus, 777 is for God, and 666 is for man. Like, we fall short always.
And the numerical value of 666, you could plug in a number of different names where A equals 1. It goes through the alphabet like that. But before Arabic numerals were around, the Greeks used letters for numbers. And they didn't have 666. It would be 600, one letter, 60, the next letter, and then 6, the last letter. These are 3 different letters. There are 2 very important, very early manuscripts that have the number of the beast as 616.
That's so
One
wild.
is a recent find just in the last 25 years, 27 years, that has the number of the beast as 616, and it's at Oxford University. It's a papyrus from the 3rd century. It's the oldest manuscript we have for Revelation chapter 13. The number of the beast is 616. Then there's a manuscript called Ephraemi Rescriptus, which is at the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris, the National Library of France in Paris. I've had the opportunity to examine both of these manuscripts in the flesh. They're the only manuscripts we have that have the number of the beast as 616. But Ephraemi Rescriptus is from about AD 400, right around the beginning of the 5th century. And it's one of our two most important manuscripts for Revelation.
Wow.
And yet it has the number of the beast as 616.
So I want answers. Why in the world are they different? What does this mean? What if this whole time we're looking for 666? In all of reality, the mark of the beast has always been 616. What could this mean? Were they translated from different languages? Because, like Dr. Michael Heiser said, Nero, because so many languages used this numerical system for their own languages.
The papyrus, which is very important, is the oldest manuscript we have for Revelation 13. Now, we know about these variants from Irenaeus, a 2nd century church father, who actually wrote a chapter on the number of the beast. And he said, the number of the beast is 666. There are some manuscripts that have the number of the beast as 616, but that's defective. 666 is his number, and we know this. He gave some reasons that were not what we'd consider the best kind of arguments. But he said, and those are found in the older manuscripts. Well, he's writing about AD 170. The older manuscripts, John's gospel, not his gospel, but the book of Revelation was written about 95. So he's talking about manuscripts that are 75 years old. Those are the older manuscripts. Well, maybe they weren't necessarily older because these manuscripts weren't dated. It's just that they were copied more frequently. They were used more, and consequently, he would think they were older. 616 actually fits the Gematria for Nero Caesar, Nero Caesar. And there was this myth that was going on in the 1st century that died out in the 2nd. It was called the Nero Redivivus myth, that Nero would rise from the dead. He was just an atrocious monster to Christians, as you know, lighting up the Appian Way with Christians hanging on crosses and then torching them so that people would have light to walk during the night to get to his parties. I mean, what a monster.
That's terrible. That's so bad. Yeah, but I heard also that Nero could be calculated in 666 as well. So what is going on here?
So there was this fear that Nero would rise again. So 616 may well be the original number of the beast. 666 might be the number. I don't know. Some days I wake up and I said, I think 666, that's the number of the beast. Other days I wake up, no, I think it's 616. But this I do know. Most scholars would say, no, 616, that's not the number of the beast, but it is the neighbor of the beast. He just lives a few doors down, So here's the importance of this. Even though if I had 616 in a published New Testament, it would send 7 tons of popular Christian literature to the flames. I don't know of a single Bible college, seminary, denomination, or even a church. Now, I'm sure there are some wacky churches that have in their doctrinal statement the following. We believe in the virgin birth. We believe in the deity of Christ. Of course, they're going to have that. We believe in the Trinity. We believe in angels and demons. And we believe that the number of the beast is 666.
Right.
It may be important, but it's not that important.
Right.
And that's one of the more significant, viable, and meaningful variants we have among our New Testament manuscripts.
That's super.
That's wild. Yeah, like obviously people say, there's mistranslations. Really? That if that's the biggest thing you could find, that's nothing. But I do think that's interesting. Maybe we've been looking at all the wrong way. I don't know. But I'd love to know what you guys think. What do you think is really, what number do you really think is the Antichrist? People probably are coming at me wild, but. So anyway, guys, I encourage you all to trust in Jesus, know that he is good and he's longing to have a relationship with you. In the description below, you can click a link to help you to decide to follow Jesus for the first time. I encourage you to do that today. And always remember, guys, Jesus loves you.